Week 0, and it's already brought the drama that we love so much about college football. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. I believe we are live, so let me know in the chat if everything looks good, if you can see me. Unbelievable football game, Nebraska, Northwestern. Northwestern 31, Nebraska 28. I'm going to go through my monologue here and then I'll get to your comments. I don't think you guys are going to have questions tonight. I think you're going to have lots of comments, lots of opinions about that football game played in Dublin, Ireland. Dublin, Ireland, where their system wasn't working inside the stadium. Beer was free until the beer ran out inside the stadium. So I'm sure the fans, Northwestern, Nebraska fans, had a lot of fun. But I got to tell you, Scott Frost now goes to 15-30. That's his record since he's been hired as a Nebraska Cornhuskers head football coach. 15-30. Tim Brewster, the former Gopher coach, was 15-30 when he got fired years ago. It's hard to believe that Scott Frost is still the coach of that proud and valuable football program in Lincoln, Nebraska, where they got a huge fan base, they have all the resources in the world, and yet they're stuck with Scott Frost. It truly is unbelievable. I think 35 days from now, on October 1st, is the day that Scott Frost can be let go and there'll be a reduction in his buyout. So I'm sure Trev Alberts, if things keep going the way they are, he probably will wait until October 1st. But man, that was onside kick. Scott Frost called an onside kick. Okay, we're looking good. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Onside kick, Nebraska. They're up 28-17 in the third quarter, and they do an onside kick. And they kicked it right to the third string running back from Northwestern. Easily got it. Northwestern scored a quick touchdown and a broken play in the secondary by Nebraska, and they had quite a few of those in this game. 28-24, and you knew it at that point in time. You could just see it coming. Nebraska was not going to be able to hang on. Casey Thompson, I thought, played a great game. Yes, he struggled down the end. Threw a couple interceptions. He struggled. He might have got nicked up. You know, he has that thumb injury. He had surgery on in the spring. He might have nicked it up. He threw some ducks at the end of the game. But for the most part, the guy made some big plays for Nebraska. He stuck in the pocket. Northwestern, they started the game rushing 4 guys, and they weren't blitzing. They weren't bringing anybody up. As the game went on, Northwestern started walking guys up, some safeties to the line of scrimmage, the linebackers. They started blitzing 1 guy, then 2 guys, and I think eventually it wore Nebraska down. Nebraska's offensive line, that's not going to cut it in Big Ten West football. I think we all know that. As the game went on, Nebraska started losing the line of scrimmage on both sides. On the defensive line, was just getting pushed around. On the offensive line, they were starting to leak as the game continue on. I thought Casey Thompson made a bunch of plays that Adrian Martinez could not have made. Casey Thompson is not the athlete that Adrian Martinez is. Northwestern didn't really worry about Casey Thompson breaking out of the pocket on the passing and running downfield. But overall, I think that's an upgrade in the quarterback position if he can stay healthy. I thought Mark Whipple did a great job as establishing RB1, running back 1 with Anthony Grant. For 4 years, Scott Frost did not establish RB1, did not establish his bell cow. I think Anthony Grant had about 19 rushes, 101 yards. He didn't get any holes from the offensive line. Nebraska's offensive line did not run block well at all. He broke one run. Anthony Grant had a 40-some yard touchdown when he busted a tackle, when he broke a tackle. great run. But overall, Nebraska's running game wasn't there. The receivers from Nebraska, Trey Palmer, is going to cause a lot of problems in the Big Ten this year. Good speed, good player. They got some other guys. Omar Manning did not play. It sounds like he's got concussion problems. The starting tight end went down with an injury. Unfortunately for Nebraska, they can't keep their tight ends healthy. On the Northwestern side of the ball, we talked about it. When I made a fatal error and picked Northwestern to finish dead last in the Big Ten West on my prediction show, Big Ten West prediction show, we did talk about that interesting running back room they got. They've got Evan Hall from my town, not my hometown, but my town I live in now, Maple Grove. Cam Porter's coming back from injury. You could tell the game started to slow down for Porter as the game went on. Northwestern's offensive line, Stranowski, the left tackle, probably the best left tackle in Big Ten. I think he was first team all last year. And the way he played today, he'll be first team all this year. Nebraska's offensive line kept getting better and better and better as the game went on. And what can you say about Helinski, the quarterback? Holy smokes. We didn't see that last year. This is his second year at Northwestern, second year, same offensive coordinator. And he played 20 for 23 in the first half. He played a hell of a game. Hell of a game. So Northwestern, they earned that victory. They got it done. Fitzgerald got a big win start the season. They were 3-9 last year. And as we all say, even years Northwestern pops up, and odd years they hit the bottom. We're in an even year, 2022. So Nebraska might be a tough out in the next in the season here. I'm very surprised how well they played. Before, hi Daniel, Texas or busted. Thanks for joining us, Matthew Carlson, the Walking Geek, beautiful. We'll get all to your comments here in a little bit. There is one thing I want to point out. I have to cover this before I get to your comments. Yes, that onside kick destroyed the momentum. Just a terrible coaching move by Scott Frost. Let's get to one comment here on the Frost postgame. Scott Frost. I think our offensive staff has to learn you've got to be a little bit more creative in this league. Let me repeat that. Scott Frost. I think our offensive staff has to learn you've got to be a little more creative in this league. Okay. We need to talk about that comment from Scott Frost, and that's his biggest weakness right there. He's not all that concerned about building relationships. Not with his players, not with his coaching staff. Here's Scott Frost with Alberts, the athletic director, helping him. They make a major hire in bringing over Mark Whipple, the offensive coordinator, who led Kenny Pickett and that Pittsburgh Panthers team to an 11-2 record last year. Unbelievable season. They won the ACC championship. Pickett was drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. Mark Whipple comes over here, 40 years experience. This is the first game of the year. First game under Mark Whipple as the offensive coordinator. And Frost throws him under the bus. I think our offensive staff has to learn you've got to be a little bit more creative in this league. That is unbelievable. That's for the first 4 years of Scott Frost as head coach of Nebraska, their offense was to throw the flat pass, run the running back, not establish an RB1, not establish anything on offense, no plays downfield. Get their quarterback killed. That was their offense. That doesn't work in the Big Ten. And here's Mark Whipple. I thought Casey Thompson played. Mark Whipple did not recruit or was not responsible for the development of the Nebraska's offensive line for the last 4 years. And that's the problem with Nebraska. They do not have an offensive line that can win in the Big Ten. They don't have a defensive line that can win the Big Ten. They lost Daniels in a transfer. They got pushed around. And they get pushed around by Iowa. They get pushed around by Wisconsin. They get pushed around by Minnesota. And then when they play the Big East teams, the same thing. People talk about scheduling issues of Nebraska. The reason why Frost hasn't won, because they always have a brutal schedule. Frost, first of all, he doesn't win Big Ten West games. His biggest win in going into his 5th year, his biggest win against the best team, their biggest win is against 7-6 Michigan State in 2018. That's their biggest win. So it's not about the schedule. It's not about anything but Frost's inability to develop his players and or recruit. I know his recruiting rankings are fine, great, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see the talent there. I don't see the development of the talent, at the very least. So, tough loss for Nebraska. Cornhusker fans, they deserve so much better. They fill that stadium up every year. Thousands and thousands. I don't know how many Nebraska Cornhusker fans made it to Dublin, Ireland, but there was thousands of them. Great support, great fan base, great football program when it's working, when it's clicking. We can talk later. I'll get your comments about who Nebraska should start looking at for the new head coach, because Scott Frost is on the hot seat. Come on. Trev Alberts is not going to watch that game and fly from Dublin back home to Lincoln. And, he's thinking, this has got to stop. We got to make a change. Okay, well, let's get to your questions. I've said enough. Glad football's back, yes. Will Scott Frost be left on the tarmac in Dublin? No, I think he'll get on the plane. I think he'll be coming home. I think when they play North Dakota here next week, they'll win that game. They'll win a couple games. They'll lose to Oklahoma. I think they play Rutgers early, right? Rutgers, I should have that schedule up, but I don't. Rutgers and Illinois early, but I think Illinois is going to be a tough game. Chase Brown's going to run all over Nebraska. I don't think, here's the problem. I don't think 6-6 is good enough for Scott Frost to even keep his job. And how do you see them winning 7 games? Look at the last 4 games of their schedule. So this is a game they could not afford to lose. So, yeah, I think he's probably on the airplane. They probably didn't leave him on the tarmac. But, it's the hot seat. That seat is burning hot. I heard that Nebraska fans gave massive tips because they felt guilty about taking free beer. I don't doubt that at all. Nebraska Cornhusker fans are awesome. I give them a bad time, of course, because I'm a Gopher. We give each other elbows. But Nebraska fan base is big, large. They love their football program. They deserve better, and they're going to get better here soon. Nebraska, we always joke about, is Texas back? Texas is back. Someday Nebraska is going to be back. They have just too many advantages that they have built over the years. Too much support, too much fan support, too much passion. They'll get there. They just need a new head coach. They need new leadership. They need a new voice. All right. Even the most stalwart Frost supporters are saying the same thing tonight. Right. So, looks like Northwestern is going to be better than expected. No surprise there. Jeez. Well, it surprised me. I know the odd even year thing, but man, I was not expecting Helinski. I was not expecting that passing game. That Navarro, the transfer receiver, he caught 2 touchdown passes. Malik Washington, he's good. He's not a top-end receiver, but he made some plays out there. They made enough plays. And they did a great job. One of the things Northwestern did was Nebraska started the game in a zone. The secondary was playing a zone. But then, Northwestern would have some pre-snap movement, and they could tell when Northwestern was playing man. And when they did that, they made some call at the line of scrimmage. Quarterback would play action. He'd roll out, and they'd get that receiver or tight end in a couple of cases, that receiver crossing the field at the direction that the quarterback's rolling out, and they made that throw. They made that play over and over and over again. Nebraska made no adjustments. It's like Northwestern. When Northwestern knew that Nebraska was playing man, they'd run that play and it'd be a success. Coaching has making adjustments during the game, and you're watching on TV, sitting back with a beer, you can kind of see it. You can kind of see it happening. And Northwestern, Fitzgerald, he's going to be a Hall of Fame coach, guys. What he's doing at Northwestern, is unbelievable. And he makes the adjustments. Nebraska did not make the adjustments. Nebraska's safeties were lost all game long. They didn't know what they were doing out there. I don't know what happened to O'Shawn Mathis, the transfer from TCU, all that name, image, and likeness money that was spent on getting Mathis in here to do some pass rush. He did have like 10 tackles. He made tackles. Garrett Nelson, he made some tackles, but that pass rush wasn't there. That was, again, a surprise to me. Yeah, you know what? We might as well tackle this question now. Let's just go ahead and speculate. This is what this channel's for. We talk about everything on this channel. This is Peek Around the Corner, and the question is from Scott Geyer. Is Frost out? Who does or where does Nebraska go next? Let's just talk about this. The Walking Geek says Frost needs 7 to survive. I agree. 6 doesn't. 6-6 to play at the Quick Lane Bowl or play, Detroit. That's near 5 of Frost. That just isn't going to do it. They got to win 7. How do they win 7 now after losing this game? So where do Nebraska go? Who's on there? Who will be on their hot list for the quarterback? Please give me your comments on what you think. If I was Alberts, Nebraska is going to have a lot of money to spend on a new coach, new coaching staff. Got the new TV deal coming. So money is no object, really, on this search for the new head coach. I would give Kyle Whittingham, of course, a call. USC and UCLA are joining the Big Ten 2024. Big Ten Conference is, now that some recruiting angles are going to be going more west. Nebraska is the furthest western school among the current Big Ten universities. So maybe Kyle Whittingham, head coach of Utah. I don't know if Whittingham would leave Utah, but I'd make him like their top target. That's the guy that I would target number 1. Don't know if he's gettable, but I'd offer him a whole lot of money. I don't think Alberts is. I don't think he'd be interested in Lane Kiffin. I don't think he'd be interested in Dan Mullen. Just don't think those are the type of guys or personalities that Alberts would go for to be the head coach in Nebraska. I tell you what I think Nebraska won't do, is I don't think they will hire, a young head coach who has a small resume. They won't go the Scott Frost route. Not this time. It's going to be an established, big-time, Power 5 head coach, a big name. They're not going to go because Scott Frost is, they can't gamble like this again. They've got to hit a home run. Nebraska has to hit a home run. Northwestern doesn't beat themselves. I mean, Northwestern couldn't. Northwestern couldn't stop the running game last year. They couldn't stop anybody last year. Boy, they stuck. They were tough against the run today against Nebraska. Nebraska had a couple of decent runs, but mainly because of their running backs. The offensive line, Nebraska's offensive line it's below average. I mean, what are they going to do as they play these other teams in the Big Ten West? It's not looking good. In a close game, Frost versus Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald wins that 9 out of 10 times. Yeah, and I mean, look, everyone is winning 9 out of 10 times against Frost in a close game. They've lost 7 games in a row by 1 score or less. I mean, that's unbelievable. How do you're up 28-17, 9 minutes left in the third quarter, and you try that onside kick? It just blows my mind. It blew up Twitter. It blew up the Nebraska message boards, I'm sure. I don't see why did Scott Frost instill himself into that game. He's made a comment in the post press conference, something like, if we get that onside kick, we win, we end the game then. Why are you trying to end the game then at that point? The risk was not worth the reward, in my opinion. So I'd like to hear your comments on who you think Nebraska should target, and who do you think who they could actually get as their new head coach. And you're not allowed to say the name PJ Fleck, okay? They won't get PJ Fleck. Geez, I hope they don't even target him. Yeah, I mean, Daniel, how many wins now on the season? I think 5 is realistic. Sure, I mean, I don't think they're going 3-9 again this year, but 5-7 probably. Illinois, man, I tell you, Chase Brown, they had some injuries though. Josh McCray, the backup running back, he injured himself. I do not know if it was a hyperextension or like an ACL. I don't know the reports on that. If you do, send, or if you have an idea of what type of injury it is, send in the comments. Isaiah Williams, their number 1 wide receiver from last year, had some 50-some catches, 50-some catches last year. He was injured. I thought it was a cramp, the calf muscle, but it might have been something more. I know he was carted off from the sidelines. So Illinois might have suffered some tough injuries, but Bielema has got, you could see it. You could see it. They're better this year. The lines are better. The defensive, offensive lines are better. Tommy DeVito, they've got themselves a quarterback. At Champaign, Illinois, they finally got themselves a quarterback. I wish they could recruit and develop and have a quarterback for 2 or 3, 4 years. Seems like the only quarterbacks they get is on a transfer portal. But he looked great. Big win for Illinois. I mean, it was against Wyoming, but they were only favored by a couple touchdowns, and they won big. Yours truly, I went 2-1 for my week 0 picks. 2-1. I got the Northwestern. They covered, obviously. Got Illinois. And I lost the Utah State UConn game. UConn played pretty good. Texas or bust it. If I was Nebraska, I would try and get Matt Rule. He was awesome at Baylor at developing talent. That is a big name, and I wish I would have thought of that name myself, but I did not. Texas or busted has come up with a big name, Matt Rule. He's probably ready to come back to the college game, possibly. Yeah, he was a great coach. Matt Rule is a great coach for Baylor. Brought that program out of despair, out of scandal, brought him up. He also did a great job for Temple. Matt Rule, that's a big name. I'm glad you brought that up for another reason Texas are busted, because I'm thinking Nebraska fans are probably going to get on the Aranda bandwagon, coach of Baylor. I don't think he's gettable, though. I think he likes it at Waco, Texas. I think him and his wife, I know they're big in that community, so we'll see about that. But Matt Rule, big name. That's a big possibility. I could see that. I could see that happening, actually. I'm sure I get a message here from Matthew Carlson. Nebraska fans want Scott Frost fired today. I just don't think it's going to happen. Well, it's not going to happen. Not until October 1st. October 1st, if Alberts lets Scott Frost go on October 1st or later, they owe a lot less money on the buyout to Scott Frost. I don't know what the numbers are. I just know it's a lot less money. So I don't expect anything to happen until October 1st. But we shall see. Not a good night. Not a good day for Scott Frost. That onside kick, that was just a brutal call by the head coach. And he said it was his call. It was his call to make, and he made it. And that cost him the game. In another comment here, Nebraska, they were exhausted at the end of that game. They were winded. Defense was winded. Northwestern hit him, run him, and Nebraska just couldn't keep up. They couldn't stand up to what Northwestern was doing. We heard Scott Frost make comments about how well his team, how conditioned they are. He made a stupid comment about how they had the offensive line vomiting 15 to 20 times at each practice, which is a ridiculous statement. Scott Frost walked it back. He said he was exaggerating. He does that a lot. He makes statements and he has to walk them back. I just don't think, Trev Alberts, let's remember Trev Alberts did not hire Scott Frost, right? So, I think his time is almost done. USC coach, Lincoln Riley? I don't think so. Lincoln Riley is going to be at USC for a long time. I love the Irish Reporter asking Frost if he would step down from the team. Just a different culture, way of seeing what we see. Frost is a dead man walking. Yeah, I saw that. Irish Reporter just comes out. I wasn't sure where the reporter came from, but it seemed like he was Irish. He basically came out and said, are you going to just step down from your job? And I don't know. I think that caught Frost a little bit stunned. But he's going to get a lot of those questions now. The problem is when you're in the fifth year as a head coach and you haven't made it to a bowl game and you're 15-30 and your biggest win is against a 7-6 team, you just don't have any more runway. You're out of runway. You got to lift that plane up right now. No more delay. And of course, the next game doesn't help them because it's North Dakota. They're going to win that game by 40, 50, but it does nothing for them. That Oklahoma game, boy, could that save Frost for? They're not going to beat Oklahoma. Come on, that just isn't going to happen. Northwestern. I'm not spending enough time on Northwestern. They got those two running backs. They kept talking about how Hall is been lifting all these weights. He's a lot stronger than he was last year. Heck, he was strong last year. That guy breaks every game. He seems like he breaks off a 30, 40-yard run that you don't expect. Like he breaks tackles, arm tackles. And of course, they were missing Cam Porter last year. Northwestern. He gives them the juice. I remember a game he had a couple years ago before he got injured. He had a really good couple plays that he showed a lot of skill and talent against Ohio State Buckeyes. And then he got injured. And now he's back. And at first, he fumbled that ball. He made a really good run. I think it was a run. Maybe it was a pass out of the backfield. He made a really good run, and he fumbled it. He got hit. And I think it was the only turnover Northwestern had. I'm not sure. And you could tell, the speed of the game was a little bit too much for Porter, early in that game. But as the season goes on with both those guys, Porter's going to get back into it. The game's going to slow down for him. And Northwestern, now I'm starting to get nervous about Northwestern as a Gopher fan. So I don't know what to think. Daniel's saying the Utah coach, I think that's what he meant by that. Sure, yeah. I mean, Kyle Whittingham, I'd go after him. Don't know if he's gettable, but don't know if Nebraska can get him. But that's the guy I would go after. Whittingham's been recruiting out west there, in California, mountain states. If they get him at Lincoln, he can do that out west, and he can recruit in the Midwest more. And he's all about culture, which Nebraska is missing. So Whittingham, I think he would be my guy if they could get him. Honestly, why not Jeff Brom? He's done some things at Purdue. Jeff Brom. I just got a feeling that once Brom leaves Purdue, he's going east, right? I think he's going east, probably to Louisville. But if not Louisville, somewhere out east, because that's where his family is. That's probably where he would like to recruit. So and he's a little loosey-goosey too when it comes to certain communication skills. Let's put it that way. I think Alberts is going to go like the opposite of Frost. I think he's going to get a guy he doesn't have to worry about. He doesn't have to worry about his neck. The hire that Alberts is going to make is the guy that Alberts doesn't have to worry about when the guy goes up in front of the cameras, up in front of the mic, up in front of parents, up in front of the players, and that's Kyle Whittingham. I keep coming back to that name because I think that's the perfect fit. But of course, there's other guys out there. I saw someone mention before we went live that Dabo Sweeney. I saw that on a message board. Dabo Sweeney, he's not going to leave Clemson for Nebraska. Nothing against Nebraska, but I don't think Dabo Sweeney's leaving the Southeast. But Nebraska will have a really good-looking hot board list that they can get a coach from. A Big Ten job is a Big Ten job. Nebraska they got a lot of resources in Nebraska, and I think with the addition of USC, UCLA, I think Nebraska's recruiting circle gets enlarged going out west, and I think they're going to pay a lot of money for the next head coach, so they'll have a great hot board list. Tater Tots, don't want to say it's over for Scott too soon, but man, it doesn't look good. No, it doesn't look good. How does Scott Frost get to 7 wins? Don't think he can. Now, before I came on live, I saw Florida State was, Duquesne. They're playing Duquesne, but it's nice to see those running backs playing well. Jordan Travis looks like he's healthy. Florida State's offensive line. Been hearing some late stuff about. It looks like the Seminoles might finally have an offensive line that can win games in the ACC. So, looking good for Florida State in week 0. Of course, Duquesne's not much of a foe, but it's nice to see Florida State moving the ball. Nice to see their offensive line dominating for once. I think Northwestern's main problem is when they teams are going to they're going to stack the box against Northwestern. That wide receiver room is still thin. Malik Washington, Navarro. I think they're going to throw a lot to their running backs this year. like Fitzgerald normally does. They throw that, I said it during the game on Twitter, they throw a lot of that sneaky, very effective screen game. I wish the Gophers would incorporate a screen game in their offense, because with Northwestern, it always seems like if you blitz them, if you were close to getting to Helinski, that he had a receiver out there on a hot route that knew to turn around and look for the ball. If you notice, Northwestern had guys out in the flats, and Helinski there's always someone he could dump off to. He's not much of a scrambler, but at Northwestern, they just knew what to do. Like I mentioned before earlier in this live chat, they checked it out in pre-snap to see when Nebraska was in a man. And when they were in a man, Northwestern would roll out their quarterback. They'd have a guy crossing the field, and he'd be wide open. No adjustments were made by Nebraska's safeties. It was just over and over and over again. So the more we talk about this game, the more worried I'm getting about Northwestern. That's college football. That's Big Ten West football right there. What about the Baylor coach? Yeah, we talked about that. Don't think he's leaving Waco. In fact, I think, Aranda, Dave Aranda, Baylor's team won the Big 12 last year. And I think he's going to win it this year. And when he decides to leave Baylor, again, no offense to Nebraska, he's going somewhere big, somewhere that they have a recruiting, a big recruiting area of the country. He'll probably go to the SEC. So I don't see him going to Nebraska. Kyle Whittingham, a guy like that, you could see that he would take, possibly he could take that Nebraska job. Dan Mullen is an interesting one. Hugh Freeze, he's going to leave Liberty at some point, right? He has that scandal in his background. If he gets an opportunity to get back, as a coach, is it going to really be in the SEC? I doubt it. So would he take a Big Ten job? I bet if it's Nebraska, he would take it. The problem is, I don't know if Alberts would have him on the list. But you could see Hugh Freeze taking it for sure. I think that's an interesting name, at least to keep an eye on. I do think, I want to hit on one point. Was it last night? Yeah, it was last night. So the spread in this game in Vegas was Nebraska was favored by 12.5 for months. The number bounced between 12.5, 13, 12, 12.5, 13. It got up to 13.5, and there it stayed. And then suddenly out of nowhere, yesterday, the line dropped from 13.5 to 10.5. It dropped to 10.5. Late big money in Vegas went on Northwestern. Some big money guys, some big money gals dropped a bag on Northwestern to cover. And of course, sure enough, Northwestern won the game. And the money line went down too. The money line, I think, ended at 340, and it was in the 480s before yesterday. So people dropped money on them. The late wagerers, the late bettors, won a lot of money on this game. Now, why? What happened? What intel did these late guys and gals get to put money on Northwestern to cover? Did something happen in Dublin, Ireland? Did something occur? Did rumors spread about something that might have happened? I heard a couple rumors. I'm not going to put them on this, talk about on Peek Around the Corner, because they're not confirmed. But did something happen? Players, coaches, I don't know. I've heard a few things, but something it wasn't Omar Manning being a late scratch, the receiver for Nebraska. Being a late scratch did not cause the line to drop 3.5 points in a matter of 8 hours. Omar Manning could be a key receiver for Nebraska, but probably won't be. He's a great talent. But it sounds like he had a concussion issue. He has never really been able to play in the couple years he's been at Lincoln, Nebraska. So I don't think that late scratch definitely was not the cause. So something happened. People out there sense a weakness in Nebraska's preparation. I don't know, but things changed there at the end. I talked about it. I kind of teased it on Twitter last night. I was trying to figure out why the line dropped so much towards Northwestern. I got a couple interesting responses outside of the Omar Manning being scratched. Kind of interesting. Just wondering if we'll hear something later on, probably in around the time the Frost gets fired. That's what I'm guessing. Yeah, we can talk about this is week 0, week 1, the Backyard Brawl, West Virginia, Pittsburgh, Thursday night, Purdue, Penn State, Thursday night, and my beloved Gophers, Thursday night, playing New Mexico State, Jerry Kill versus PJ Fleck. I think a lot of you know the heat between those two guys. Jerry Kill just can't let it go. Still very upset at PJ Fleck because when PJ Fleck was hired at Minnesota, PJ Fleck talked a lot about changing the culture at Minnesota. Jerry Kill thought PJ Fleck was taking shots at him, but he wasn't. But Jerry Kill's very sensitive guy. He did a great job at Minnesota. PJ Fleck has brought Minnesota to a different level, but Jerry Kill did a good job, and he just can't seem to let it go. He's still taking shots at PJ Fleck. Jerry Kill doesn't even know if he'll have a handshake with PJ Fleck at the start of the game. Fleck says, "I shake everyone's hands." So PJ Fleck's going to run out there and try to shake Jerry Kill's hand. I hope Jerry Kill doesn't, I don't know what's going to happen. But Gophers are 38.5 point favorites. New Mexico State plays tonight at 9 o'clock Central Time against Nevada on ESPN2. So I got to check that out. Penn State and Purdue, I've changed my mind totally on that game. 30 days ago I had Purdue, now I've got Penn State. The reports from Purdue, what I'm getting is it's not happening this year. We'll see what happens. But my thoughts on Purdue has changed dramatically. I got Penn State. That will be part of my week 1 picks for next week. I think Penn State's favored by 3. At Purdue, should be a fun game. When you open the season in a conference game, man, there's a lot of pressure. Last year when the Gophers started the season at home against the Buckeyes, man, that was fun. It was fun. It was great. It was great until about the middle of the third quarter when Mo Ibrahim busted his Achilles. That was terrible, but that was a fun game. Ibrahim's back, though. Mo Heisman's back. Let's go. Row the boat. So, big next week, week 1, a lot of games. And we'll be talking about, I'll be making my picks. I was 2-1 this week. I was 2-1. That's a good start. That's a pretty good start. 2-0 in the Big Ten games. That's what's important. Yeah, I know the heat is on. I can't imagine being I can't imagine being on a Nebraska message board right now. They're upset. They have every reason to be upset. Because they get told that things are changing. There's a lot of positive energy that comes out from the Nebraska beat writers that cover that team, because it's really the Nebraska football is the big thing in Nebraska. It is the thing in Nebraska. So everyone wants to, everyone wants to be positive and ready to go, and this is it. And there's always reports that Nebraska's offensive line is better this year, and the defensive line is better this year, and these wide receiver transfers are making plays all over the field. And you hear that every year, and that's why I joke about the Kool-Aid, the big red Kool-Aid that they drink down in Lincoln, Nebraska, because they really believe. They really believe every year, but with Scott Frost, it's just not happening. So you got to feel bad about it. You got to feel bad about the fans. I mean, you got 60, 70-year-old fans who've they've seen great Nebraska football. But what about the 28-year-old fans, the 30-year-old fans, the Cornhusker fans? They keep listening to their parents and their grandparents about the great Nebraska days, how they won the national championship in the 90s, and Tom Osborne, the great, the teams of the 80s and the 70s, and of course they want to see that, and it's just not happening, and it doesn't seem like it's ever going to happen. So you got to feel for the Nebraska Cornhusker fans, even though I give them a tough time all the time. Alrighty, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for all your comments, your questions. I think we're all on the same page. Very tough night for Nebraska. Great night for Northwestern. The Big Ten season, this whole football season is going to be crazy. I can't wait to see Georgia, Oregon game next. It's just fascinating storylines are already being created. Hot board lists are already being created. So more drama. Like I said on this show, it's going to be a lot of celebration, tears of celebration, and tears of defeat. And tonight, it was the Cornhuskers' time of defeat. So, Northwestern 31, Nebraska 28. Please, if you like this content, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. It helps us so much with our algorithms on YouTube. And share the video. Share the video with your friends and your family. We appreciate it so much. And again, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, until next time, you all take care of each other. Thanks.